Hello and welcome to the Inventories. This video won't be the video about Salvatore Donovan because I'm still working on that technically. I've been having some personal issues which took some of my time, which I hate, and also some more personal issues which I'm not gonna debate because it's not my thing, to just ventilate everything I feel on the internet for you to enjoy my self-destructive misery or my cathartic mutilation. So, let's get down to the reflection of today, which is something I would like to think about, which is weird ideas. Now, I define a weird idea in my set of values as an idea which is not compatible with the status quo of value of an idea. Like the way someone expects you to create or have an idea. Like having a different angle, translation, or interpretation of something which does not fit within a realm defined by a certain group, but still makes sense. Sorry, there is something in my eye, and strangely enough, it's not my hair. Anyhow, um, what I mean is that I have seen a lot of creative people who have amazing ideas, great ideas, and I truly believe they are great. Only that they might be, what's the word? Not misplaced and not misused, but maybe they lack finesse. They lack crafting skills to actually take out the pure core of the idea, the thing that makes it so special, and release it from all the impurities that your mind produces as well. Because there is no completely pure idea to me. Everything is contaminated by some kind of information from other places or other people, other ideas. There is no certain originality because nothing comes from nowhere exactly, except the Big Bang, which it's what we think up to now, but if somehow we discovered that, I don't know, suddenly a giant rainbow dog came out and took a dookie and that became the Big Bang. Even if it sounds completely bizarre, as I might say it, if that was the truth, we must have to accept that. Like, that's what I think. Like, the truth does not exactly exist as such. The only truth I could call real is an empirical truth which cannot be overthrown over by any means except logical means that destroy it at a base level. Let me explain this in this sense. If truth was a tree, you try to cut it down, but this tree always grows back because it has strong roots. Maybe not a tree, maybe like a bad weed, because those things are very tenacious despite the bad fame. If truth is that, and we keep cutting the thing, we'll grow back over and over with rain and sun and everything. As long as the roots stay there, there is always a chance for it to come back. Now, to actually destroy a truth, you gotta go to the roots, and to do that, you need empirical tools. Opinionated observations, which also have the support of immovable materials of, well, theories and rules of the world, like the constant of gravity, for example. When you think about it, it's like making something so hard that could penetrate through the roots and through whatever is surrounding the roots and then take it out of the earth so it could be replaced by a real plant instead of a bad weed. But remember that up to that point, that was called truth. So truth is actually quite malleable. It's not something as absolute, as fixated as some may think. There is truths which we cannot avoid. We just simply cannot say that those don't apply. For example, I don't believe the Earth is flat, and there are tons of scientists and physicists and basically a lot of empirical and uh, what's the word? And basically that you can check and know that the answer is right. I always forget that word for some reason when I'm on this train of thought. No idea why, I always forget that particular word. One day we'll find out why. Today might not be the day, but I mean that there is a lot of empirical and substantial, that's the damn thing, substantial evidence which can be checked, which can be assured by a viewpoint which is not subjective to the person who is looking at the concept. For something that it's not like opinionated or based on the ideas or beliefs of someone, something that can be built around an abstract I where human interaction and human prejudice does not affect the result. That's why I don't believe the earth is flat. Just giving a dumb example because I truly believe the earth is a geode, which means it's not round, it's a little flattened a bit, and I learned that at school. And I know you are gonna say like, and some of those conspiracy theories will go like, but in school they lie to you. They always try to get in your mind. And you're not. Of course you're not. Every conspiracy is not an attempt of someone to get inside other people's minds so it may gain more numbers and more people to support your ideas and follow you in any way you see fit. From buying merchandise to supporting you financially to even do stupid shit for your amusement. Cults go around that idea, and many things go around that idea that when you feel like you, and I have felt this feeling a lot in my life, when you feel like you lack something, that there is something missing in your life, and you don't have enough interactions to, debate the idea and try to figure out what you need, you usually do what a scaredy cat does and you grab to the nearest tree in hope that the big bad dog of reality doesn't bite your butt. That's what you try to do. You try to find something to hang on to. Sometimes it's something good, and sometimes you think it's a tree, but it's actually a giant pipe which conducts industrial wastes, and your claws, kitty cat, are piercing through it, and the thing is actually poisoning you. But you believe it's a tree, and you're too afraid of the dog to go down, so you keep poisoning yourself. That's what I think. That there is no absolute truth, and when you don't have truth that you accept and you can think rationally that it exists, you go and grab onto something that it might not be the truth, but it's something that you feel as close as it can be for you. And the comfy feeling of having that truth by your side is stronger than the need to find a suitable replacement despite how much damage you have. Because people, what are really afraid is to lose control of their lives. News for you, you never have control of your lives. You have control of some aspects, like, I don't know, when do I spit on the street? When do I make dinner if I'm hungry? Some very simple tasks. But you don't have absolute control of your life, because that would mean you also have absolute control of everything surrounding your life, along with the many, many variables that are innumerable along the universe, which also constitute the reality of your life. So to me, there is no absolute truth in basically anything. We take things as truth because we need that to have a bearable life. Quoting Sir Terry Pratchett's work in The Hogfather, basically, that movie where you find an interesting debate between death and its granddaughter, which I find quite interesting. The granddaughter of death saves the personification of what is Santa Claus in that world, a fictional character, but it saves its life. So even though it's fiction, because many people believe it's real, the reality of its existence gives it life. Anyhow, the granddaughter, manages to save this guy. And when it finds back with its grandfather dead, asks, "What would have happened if I didn't save the guy?" And Death said, "The sun would have not risen." And she asked, "And then what would have happened?" And Death simply answered, "A giant ball of flaming gas would have illuminated the world." Then she got a little upset and said, "I know what you mean. I'm not stupid. You mean that humans need fantasy to make life bearable." And then it's what Death gets interesting, because it says that humans don't need fantasy to make life bearable. Humans need fantasy to be human. To be the place where the fallen angel meets the rising ape, and she follows with hog fathers and tooth fairies. Yes, you learn the little lies, baby steps. You start with the little ones so you can believe the bigger ones. Truth, justice, morality, that kind of stuff. And she goes, "That's not the same at all." "Oh, really?" And that's when Death got sassy. Because it said, "Grab the universe and everything it contains, and grind it to the finest powder. And then sieve it to the tightest and thinnest sieve. And then show me an atom of justice, a molecule of mercy." And yet you act like there is some grand order in the universe for which you might be judged. Not to say that those things are exactly bad, not to say that those ideas or concepts are wrong, but we made them real because we needed them. Sometimes truth can be a fantasy, and fantasy can be a truth. Think about what Julius Verne did. Some of its work, for its time, was science fiction, which means that this, even though it was based on scientific principles, it was still thought to be an imaginary impossible. And then you have spaceships, submarines, and the guy wrote it first in some of its adventures. Maybe fantasy can become real. And sometimes things that are real become fantasy. Like the idea of the flat earth sustained by four turtles, and if you go over the horizon and you don't see the ship, it's because the ship fell and the turtles are eating the ship with everyone in there. That was common knowledge before, and it's not now. So if you think about it, even the greatest lies can be truths, and even the greatest truths can be lies. No one is safe. But what really matters, and this is what I have understood, and again, all I'm saying is just my opinion and my own view on the subject of what I consider to be true. Okay? I remember the movie Second-Hand Lions, and I remember this part of the speech that, well, Hub gives to what would be his great grandnephew, and says that it doesn't matter if the stories are true or not. If you want to believe in something, believe in it with everything you have. Believe that truth, justice, honor, respect, those kind of things are what wins. That good triumphs over evil, and that true love never dies. You know what people believe in that? Because those are the things that are worth believing in. And when a man makes a decision to believe in something, one well, must believe in it with everything it has. I don't recall exactly the lines because I don't know. I don't get it quite right sometimes, but I get the message. I believe so. And it's that you choose what to believe, and when you do that decision, it's not a light decision like saying, I choose to believe in this or choose to believe in that, like a quick decision. Sometimes it takes more time, like, do I choose to believe in this person? Do I choose to believe in the good in this person? Do I choose to believe in what's behind everything? And do I choose to believe in a religion? Do I choose to believe in science? What do you choose to believe in? You gotta believe in it with everything you have. And just because someone doesn't believe in the same things you believe, that does not make them evil. If they commit evil actions according to you, then that makes them evil, according to you. But if the whole world was cannibal and someone started eating carrots, that would be evil, because the society would say it was evil. So again, we go back to the gray area. The reality is that the truth, it's not something that you can define as something absolute, at least to me. And sometimes some lies are more interesting than truths. Sometimes a lie can be more worthwhile than actual truths. And some things we take as granted as truths, even in science, they are not exactly considered to be truth entirely. It's like it's truthful to us until we find something that covers up more ground, it's more absolute and more functionally stable and empirically correct. So even the greatest theories can be destroyed if you have the right tools for it and you replace it with something that has more value and also covers the needs and uses of what you destroyed. Why would we bother? Why would we bother about, what's real and what's not? Because sometimes I hear people saying that that's fantasy, that's magic, that could never happen, that could never be. I believe in a universe with so much potential, with infinite space, and who knows how many life, because we're not the only creatures in the universe, of course. That would be statistically stupid to think about to me, because with such a great expansion of so many planets, life could possibly be something rare, but only one planet with life, that would be quite improbable. And I mean, really quite improbable. Because to me, impossible does not mean something does not happen, it just means that it's very hard to make. Almost a really low chance for it. But again, what if there was a planet where magic was real? Only it was science seen as magic. Or maybe our science is our kind of magic. What if some of the creatures that we see in mythology actually exist because of a statistical reason in some place in the universe? What if we go through multiverse theory even, there are universes where history changed and some of the things that we call legends today are actually reality in those universes, and we, as a possibility, are fiction. I could be a mythical creature in another version of the universe because somehow everyone was a Triton and they could not imagine a monkey surviving the flood. Just saying, it's interesting to me to think things in many angles. Why do I do that? Why am I so annoying? Good questions. Being certain, I have no idea. I like to think about things in a lot of angles because I believe that's the more realistic way I can see things. Even with people, I don't see only the bad in people, but I see the good as well. I see where the evil comes from, where the good comes from. I try to dig deeper to understand and to go there. Sometimes I get shoved off or punched, maybe. That might be the case. That might happen. But also, I don't like lying a lot. I feel like I'm just adding more negatives to the equation with that, and I like to be more of an honest guy. I speak of my view always, which is already quite flawed sometimes, so sometimes I lie without knowing. But at the same time, I don't want to lie knowing I'm lying. But sometimes I have to. Sometimes for stupid reasons. Like avoiding an uncomfortable conversation like, did you eat the last cookie? Well, I might have, but. And then we go on with the lie. Yeah, it's weird to me to think how we evolved as a species, and we don't seem to realize that there is no such thing as an absolute truth, nor an absolute viewpoint on anything, actually. Sometimes you just have to make decisions, and every decision has consequences. The fact is that we call sometimes decisions good or evil based on the consequences of those decisions before we make them. But what about the consequences we can't see? What about the consequences that we can't think about? And what about if the choice only brings bad consequences to our point of view? But we still have to make the choice. Those are the tough times of our lives. When we have bad results everywhere, but we still have to make a choice to move forward. Sometimes I'm not sure if I can move forward from those points, and I hate when I have to go through those. I don't know if someone feels the same as I do when I go through those difficult crosswalks of decisions. And I'm not sure if anyone ever feels sympathetic to that feeling, but if you do, I'm sure you can do it. Because I'm not lying in this one. I always believe everyone has more potential in everything that I do. For some reason, it has always been easier to me to see the potential and grand capacity of others, even though they don't recognize it sometimes, than seeing the good things in me, which has stalled me for a long time in many areas. But being sincere, I just think that people undervalue themselves too much sometimes, and some other people overvalue themselves too much. I don't go for looks, I don't go for styles or things like that. I want to look for substance and quality. Some appearances and looks may be on the side of the dish, like some little sauce to add to the chicken. But realistically, what I'm after is the main dish, the substance, the reality, what's true inside someone. And that makes me see a lot of wonderful things. Some others are terrible and painful to see, but behind that there is something different sometimes. And seeing through many eyes of those people how they interpret the world, how they see things. Even when I'm in a disagreement or a fight, I find it quite interesting because I believe true knowledge comes from the clash of ideas, and as the truth is no absolute, ideas are just blocks we try to match to make a puzzle, clashing together, bending it, breaking it even, and we try to make something useful out of it. It's like playing with Legos made out of glass. You try to stick them together, but sometimes you use too much force and the whole thing cracks. Even the ones that you put before softly and working fine. Or you miss the piece and you have to rebuild from something. It's something like that to me. But anyhow, that was just my philosophical rambling of the day. Hope soon I will have the next chapter of That One Last Ride, where we meet the story of, well, our friend in the diary, Salvatore Donovan. So until then, have nice stories and have nice lies. Who knows? Maybe those can become a truth.